So my daughter comes home with what can only be described as obviously an absolute preschool masterpiece. She had doodled a beautiful something and then cut it into a million little pieces. And she proudly told me that she had made a puzzle, which I thought, oh, that's super cool. I love puzzling. So, I wanted to solve it, of course. She did have to ask me a few times because life. And finally, I thought, you know what? She put in the effort. Let's do this puzzle. But it wasn't a normal puzzle, you guys. There was no box, right? There was no reference image, no real obvious clean edges or anything like that. She had just used these really thick, kind of like chalky, they're crayons, but they kind of work like a marker. It's this very odd hybrid of art supplies. And she had pressed really hard in some spots. It was super dark. And then other spots, it just sort of faded away. And
came to the surface that was not true because
technically
their energy
fit,
started
but
to go down, voices
it
started
wasn't
to get
always
louder,
making sense
as
I was trying to put this together. But the wild part was that she knew exactly how it went together. Which, I mean, she should, right? She was the artist, she was the creator. But I'm telling you, so many pieces. And it wasn't like a picture of a rainbow or a sunshine or anything like that. It was just abstract art. Okay? So that's why it was really baffling. And so as I'm working through this puzzle, I realized that puzzles have
in my hair anymore.
Stages, because it's like the stages of grief, and I was walking myself through them as I was trying to complete this puzzle and thinking, oh my gosh, I've had this exact same process occur in my life before. So what are the stages, you ask? I'm going to tell you. Stage one is the I've got this phase. Like, obviously, it's a preschool puzzle, right? So you sit down, you're feeling confident, you think it's going to be fun because puzzles are supposed to be like a great recreational activity. You might even relax a little bit, maybe have a little cup of tea while you do it. And of course, always, anytime I am puzzling, I channel Winston Bishop from New Girl, which if you haven't watched every single episode of New Girl, you must. In my mind, it is like the modern day version of Friends.
Underneath the machine.
And Friends is by far the best show on the planet. If you want to fight about that,
look for a silver lining here, which I often try to do.
So anyway, there's joy here. This is like optimistic, a little bit delusional with the confidence, but you believe this is going to go well. This is going to be a fun activity. And then you really kind of get a little more strategic. Stage two is where you implement the edge strategy. That's obviously where you start. You get to work, you find the corners, then you do all the edges, because you figure if you build the frame, then all the other stuff in the middle, the messy middle, will just kind of fall into place. But at least you have the structure, right? And I think this is how we approach life, too. We build the routine.
So I walk in
we create the plan. We try to control the structure of our lives. And then
I don't know why I do this to them.
Okay, here, I've organized it. I've got a great outline.
Good morning.
This is going to be just fine.
And
then
does it to me
stage three hits,
and I hate it.
Which is the inevitable
here I am,
slowdown.
Passing along the
you
trauma
finished the edges,
down to the next generation,
and now you just have
sunlight,
the rest
loud
of it.
noises.
Yeah,
I do it in one room.
At that point, there's no obvious
room,
matches. Really, it's not. You're not getting the quick wins you were getting before. There's just those really
wander out,
subtle differences,
woodland creatures,
similar colors, and then there's those really pain in the ass pieces that look like they're going to fit, but
well
don't.
For these morning routines.
And this is where it stops being fun.
Their weekly
and it starts being work
on the back of the bedroom door. What
then.
And
once you're not having fun anymore, you hit stage 4.
So they can get
and you
dressed.
start questioning
breakfast,
things. And you ask yourself over and over, do I even have all the pieces
to avoid
which
any debate?
I'm going to say in this particular scenario was an even more valid question than any other time I've done a puzzle, because
with these
this preschool puzzle had been cut up during the day at
always
class
successfully
and then had
to
commuted
get my
home.
own self
and
ready
so who knew,
and put
really?
in my contacts
Really?
and brush
Like I
my
said,
own
there was
damn
no
teeth
box. I didn't know if it was
8
a
o'clock.
25-piece
So
puzzle
on this
or a
particular
30-piece
day,
puzzle. I just
heard
collected what was in the
sound,
cubby,
one of the
put
sounds.
it in the
There are several.
backpack,
One of the sounds
and found
that
out later
no
that I
parent
had to
wants hear.
reassemble.
I am
So I
in
was
my
very
bedroom
sincerely
trying to get
questioning,
myself
like,
ready, and I
something
hear my
must be
son
missing.
head
I've looked
to the
at
bathroom, and I'm
everything
thinking,
a million
great,
times.
going
Nothing
to the
of what I have
bathroom
left is
on
fitting.
the
There's
list.
no way.
But what I
There's
was
just no way
not
that they're all
so
here.
pleased
And
to hear was a
I
very
think
specific
in this
sound,
particular moment,
and that sound was pee
most
hitting the trash can
people
lid.
don't recognize it
Ever heard that
for what it
sound?
is.
If you've
Because
only
it's,
heard it once,
it's not
you
about
will
the
know it
puzzle
forever.
anymore.
And I entered the bathroom
it's about
with
what we do
very
when the
investigative
options that we
energy.
have available to
He,
us,
it turns out, was
don't
distracted
seem
because
to
he
match
was
our
trying to use
current
the bathroom and
needs. Yeah. So
check out
then,
this
though,
new toy
right when
that
you're
they
about
had
to
gotten. Perhaps you've
call
heard of
it
it,
quits,
a
throw in the
Labubu.
towel, you hit stage 5, which is the breakthrough.
That's a whole other topic.
And out of nowhere,
when I saw
one
how it was
piece
distracting him,
fits
I
another.
grabbed it. I did
clean.
not freeze.
All of a
I
sudden,
often freeze. I did not
so
in this situation. I grabbed
obvious,
it and I
that
threw it,
shifts
friends. I
everything
threw it
because you start
back
to
into
remember.
my bedroom,
Ah.
which in hindsight,
Right. It's just a
probably
puzzle. I can
most
handle
definitely
this.
escalated
It
the
is a preschool
situation
puzzle.
because
You've got
the
this,
tears
Lindsay.
from the night before they
So,
resumed.
You start to get a
And
little
I
optimistic
felt
again.
like
You
an
hit stage
absolute
6.
jerkhead.
There's
you know,
light
and
at the end of the
just
tunnel.
muffled our way through.
Get a few
the
more
rest of the morning.
pieces to click
got
into
through it.
place or
I
just
got them to
slide into
school.
place, as was the
All
case
good.
here because we were working with
But the story
paper.
does not end there.
And
after I
it
dropped
doesn't
them
happen
off,
all at
I
once,
stopped
but
at the
enough.
pharmacy,
You
and I
know,
was in
you
the
get
area, so I
one,
thought,
you have a little
I'll
lag, and then you
meander
get
down
another one, and so you're
to
puzzling, you're
McDee's
puzzling
or Old
away,
McDonald's, as we like to call
enough
it,
to see progress,
and get myself, you know,
and
I
feel
deserve a treat,
that
I thought.
momentum.
Get myself an
and
iced coffee.
Actually
And I'm
believe
gonna
that you're
repeat that
gonna
because
finish
I
the thing,
ordered,
which
as
feels
I
good,
always
right?
do,
Because then you're in it,
a
and you don't
medium
want to give up.
iced
She had
coffee
abandoned me at this point
with
because I
no
was
sugar.
taking too
And
long.
this is a very
She went
important
to play
detail.
outside,
I want you to know this,
and
that if you
so I
ever
sat
order
at the
an
kitchen
iced
table
coffee from
alone
McDonald's,
on
it
a beautiful
automatically
sunshiny
comes
day
with
because I refused
liquid
to give up until
sugar.
I finished this
Yes,
puzzle.
I said liquid sugar.
So then I hit
not
stage
sugar
7. I'm at the
packets,
final
okay, not
stretch,
like a fancy
okay?
creamer,
and it's
with
just
sugar
steady
in it.
because I'm getting less and less
Liquid
pieces
sugar.
that I gotta work with.
It literally says
and
it on the
I'm
menu.
not trying
when
to
you
do
order
any
it.
shortcuts.
So
I'm
I've
not forcing
learned
anything.
the system
I'm just
that
grabbing
you order.
one,
You know, you say, "Hey, I'll
doing a little
have the cream,
scan,
no sugar."
and placing it where
Except
it fits. Right?
that
And so
that
then
day,
you, at this
when
point,
I
you
pulled
kind of
up
sit
to
back,
the window,
you look at it,
they handed me a plastic
there it
cup
is.
full of
it wasn't
just
easy,
black
but
coffee.
you did it.
No cream.
The puzzle
First world
is
problems, right?
complete.
And I
you
stared
feel
at it
like a
I had
genius.
forgotten
And,
how beverages work.
then
And like a
there
total
was
idiot,
this
I looked
part
back at the
that
lady
hit me
and
later
I said, "Does this have cream
that I
in
didn't
it?"
quite expect.
And she very
But I
politely
started remembering
said, "Oh,
the last
no,
time
it said no cream."
that I had actually
and
done
I
a
was
puzzle.
very confused. I
And
still didn't
It
have my wits all
was a
about me
few
from the morning, and I was
nights
genuinely
before
confused
my father-in-law
because
passed.
I had
And
definitely
my
ordered
husband,
no
my
sugar,
sister-in-law,
not no
and
cream.
her partner were
And
all
so she
kinda
took it
gathered
back
up in
and
his room.
very kindly
and
added
it was a
cream
tight
to it
space, so
and
we kept
handed it back
going
to me
in
again.
and out to the hallway, etc.
I still,
And there
very confused,
really wasn't anything that
looked
we
at her and I said,
could
"Well,
fix.
but there's no
This wasn't
ice
a
in it
puzzle we could
either."
solve
Because
anymore
remember,
at this.
it
at
was
this
an
point.
iced
We
coffee.
were just had a lot of
So
time to sit.
she hands me a
and wait.
cup of ice,
and
which
so
I was
we
grateful
did
for. And
a literal puzzle.
scooted
I went
forward
down to
in line so as
the
not to block the window,
gathering
and I
room
assembled
where the
my
residents
own
there
beverage
would eat
in
their
the
meals and things, and they
old
had some
McDonald's
puzzles,
parking
and
lot.
I grabbed one that was
It
this
felt
beautiful
like I was doing my own little science experiment.
ocean
And did I spill on
scene,
myself when I took the lid off?
it was
Absolutely.
really
Yes.
hard.
Yes, I did.
Like really
But
a hard
at the end
puzzle,
of it
and it
all,
was huge.
did I
but we
have
thought, well,
my
we
iced
got the
coffee
time,
with
so,
cream? Yes.
Not only was
So,
the puzzle
and really, you know, I had a
hard
whole bunch
itself,
of extra
but
ice,
just
and I snacked on those
everything
little ice chips on the
surrounding
way
it,
home.
right?
And it
Our
was
brains
delightful.
were foggy.
So at this point, you're like,
we were
what's
really,
the point?
really tired. No one had slept in an actual bed. We were, folding up blankets and using them as pillows and sleeping on the floor, quite literally.
Choreographed routine.
And
you nailed it.
Piece by piece, though.
Other mornings,
we got this puzzle together, and we kept taking turns. A couple of us would sit out there, and then we'd go back in and be by his side.
And you throw
so together,
your
gradually, we did finish
during
it.
a bathroom investigation. And
but looking
you
back,
assemble your own
in that particular instance, I don't
that
really
is
think
the more common
it was about
morning. And
finishing
yet,
the puzzle.
I
think
still
it was
had
about
my
having
kids give me a
something
hug goodbye.
to
Still
do
got kisses at the car door.
and
And
something
I still
to
made it
hold
home
onto,
with coffee in hand.
something we felt we
Thank
could
the Lord.
control a
Was it
bit,
perfect? No.
while
But it
everything
was
else
functional.
felt
We accomplished
really,
what we
really
set out to accomplish.
uncertain.
And sometimes
it
that
gave
is
us
the real lesson.
focus
Life is not
when
about
we were
perfect mornings.
right
It's about
smack
recovering
dab
from
in the
those messy
middle
ones
of
and
grief.
cleaning up the coffee tray.
It gave us
Apologizing when you lose your
movement
patience.
and purpose,
Adding a little cream to
middle
your own
of
coffee, right?
this
And you
very
just keep moving.
uncomfortable
Because the truth
stillness
is
that we
that
had
most
no
of us
choice but to
are just out here brewing our
allow
coffee
time to pass
and
through.
sometimes forgetting
and
the cup.
it definitely gave us
So let's give each other
connection,
a little bit of grace.
when we felt like we did not have all the answers. And it felt like a true group collaborative project. Everyone contributed. Everybody snapped in several of the key pieces. And it really felt necessary. That puzzle, it felt like it was part of the process. Like it was meant to be there, and we were meant to work through it together. And so here's my main takeaway from this experience, my preschool puzzle and then my reflection. Not every puzzle comes with a picture. Some look like the one that my daughter made, where the picture was only in her head and it was uneven and the pieces were really inconsistent. But yet, she had made it with intention. And she knew what it could look like, what potential it had, even when I didn't. So I think if you happen to be in a stage where it feels like nothing is clicking, no matter what you do, or you're questioning if you even have all the damn pieces, or you're tempted maybe to force something into a spot that doesn't actually fit there. We've all tried it, right? But here's the thing, friends. You are not behind. You are not missing anything. You're just in the middle. So I say, keep puzzling.